Good morning. So, we are headed to CYB Farms, which is where my horse is boarded. Today is day one of her getting back to work after like a month hiatus, dealing with that. If you saw my last video, it was a nasty abscess that she was recovering from. So we are good to go. So I'm gonna do just a really nice and easy lunging session. Nothing on her, no brattle, just halter, just starting to do walk trot, walk trot, walk trot. Maybe a little bit of canter just to kind of see what's up. But yeah, she has no muscles right now. She's been off for a month, and the poor girl has barely moved because that abscess was so painful. So yeah, her muscles they're probably a little weak right now. It's been a while. We're just gonna take it really easy because I don't want her to be sore. I don't want her to like get crabby about working. Working's supposed to be fun. So yeah, and then I have a client's horse, which I'm gonna really focus on with the video today because I think you guys would really enjoy it. So I've talked a little bit about this mare before, and so I'll introduce you to her. She's like very what's the word I'm looking for? You can look at her and you can just see the stress and anxiety just oozing out of her. Like you can read her face, her body language. She comes from a bit of a rough past. My client bought her earlier this year. And yeah, so we'll see. We'll talk more in depth once we get to the barn. All right, so let's go. This is Rennie, the barn dog. She's so cute as I ever. Hi, she smiles. Oh, you have stinky breath. Were you eating horse poo? Probably. This is Lexi. Lexi is, I believe she's about 10 or 11 years old. She's an appendix quarter horse mare, and she's owned by a client of mine. And so I met Lexi probably about a month and a half ago, but my client bought her in the spring, I believe. And she was bought just to be a quiet trail horse, just to have fun, enjoy, spend time with. And unfortunately, when she did come home, she wasn't exactly as quiet and reliable as she was told. So poor Lexi actually has quite a lot going on with her. It's not so much physical. I mean, as you can see, physically she looks great. When she first got here, she needed a little bit of TLC, like most do when they come to a new place. But with Lexi, she's got a lot of mental struggles that she's dealing with. So it's quite like we're unsure of what exactly happened to her, but I kind of have some good guesses. I don't think whatever did happen to her was very nice, and she has not forgotten. And so she's very defensive, very anxious. I stepped in, started working with her, and we had some great success. We got our owner on her. We were doing walk trot. She was getting a little more patient than this. And unfortunately, my client injured her leg. Nothing to do with horses. I want to make that clear.
Lexi is not responsible for the injury. But unfortunately, she had an injury, and so Lexi's been off for a while now. And so I'm just going to step in a couple times a week to just kind of get some consistency back in her life and keep her on track. Because with a horse that's struggling with some past trauma, it's really important that you're consistent with it. And so we're kind of probably going to be back at square one a little bit, just bringing Lexi back to feeling more confident because she does have some significant trust issues. You can tell this from people. When you look at their face, you can see stress. So right now with her, I've never seen a horse with such bad worry wrinkles as she does. So if you look at her nose, you see she doesn't like her nose touched. So I'm assuming she was probably lip twitched at one point in time when she first got here. She didn't like her ears touched, but her owner has worked on that. So now she's good for her ears. So I'm assuming she was twitched, ear twitched, lip twitched, and just had probably a really bad experience. And so when I first met her, this is something I did. I just stood there and I just put my hand on her. So this is way, like, much better than it used to be. But you can see, I know. Just the worry. And if you could feel her, she has her whole jaw just clenched right now. It's okay, Mom. So when I first met her, I came in the bar and I introduced myself to the owner, and then we walked to the paddock together to go get her. And Lex is very much so bonded with her owner because her owner was grooming her and just kind of loving on her and just trying to break through some barriers. And so Lex would usually come to the gate because her mommy would feed her and whatnot. But because I was a newbie and I was at the gate too, she refused to come to the gate. So her mom had to go and get her. And so she's come a long way, but that just shows you just kind of how severe her trust issues are. And then if you leave her tied up, you saw her dancing, right? So if you're not close to her and paying attention, especially when her mom does it, she gets very upset. She's very attached to her mom, which is nice. It's nice to see her kind of finally connecting with a person because it doesn't sound like she had her own person for quite some time. So right now, all I'm doing is just being chill and just touching her. There. So usually at the end of a session, so that's what we're going to do today. The goal today is because she's been off for a bit, she holds tension in her whole body. Like, she's extremely tense. Just everywhere. You can just touch her and feel her tense muscles all over. She doesn't really want to stand. She's like, no, I just want to, let's go get the job done and then be done. See, she doesn't feel confident in me covering her eye because it's an insecurity. There, Mama. Yes, you're okay. Back up. So, I'm just going to talk nice to her and just keep touching her. I know. See, I'm not going to hit you. I'm not going to get after you. There. That's better. Yeah. Just play with her nostrils, the hair, move her lip. Like, it's like humans. When we have anxiety, we clench. Some people are prone to grinding their teeth. They hold, like, their shoulders up to their ears. So they just whole overall tenseness. But this jaw, like, this is way better. I remember when I first met her, literally her lips were like she was like clenched. There, it's okay. So I think she was lip twitched, and I don't think she liked it very much. Yes, these are your baby friends. They're talking to you, aren't you? There. So, like, how I fix something like this is just repetition. Repetition, talking to her nicely, massaging her. There. Yes, you're a good girl. I know. So the whole purpose behind even twitching a horse is because there's a bunch of sensors and nerves in that lip, and so kind of just draws the focus elsewhere. And so I find sometimes you don't have to twitch a horse necessarily, because there's a time and a place for it. Don't get me wrong. There is a time and a place where you have to twitch because it's potentially a dangerous situation. But I know if I have a horse that's standing for the farrier and maybe they're starting to get antsy, I'll just play with their lip. Yes, it's a good girl. There. That's it. See, I'm just massaging her lip so she's not clenching her jaw. There, that's a good mama. I know. And then snuggles. Yes, I know. Just make sure you don't get bonked in the face, because that's not good. There, are we okay now?
Come on, my dear. So as soon as I brought her up here, she was quite fussy. Her little paddock mate is crying quite a bit. So she's a little bit peeved about this, having to have a job right now. She's not paying attention at all. She's not focused on me. She's looking around the whole ring and her walk. So the first rule that I'm always looking for, it doesn't matter whether I'm working a green horse or a really well-schooled horse, I want rhythm. So right now, we do not have that. Walk on. There's nothing worse than as soon as you stick a horse on the lunge line and they try to just book it and take off. So I always say lunge with a purpose. So if you just lunge your horse constantly to just burn them out, you're building fitness to not only do good things, but also to do bad things. And it's not teaching them anything. They just think, so right now, granted, she's been off for a bit. She wants to have a little trot and run around, and she's going to get that opportunity, but I don't need her ripping around full steam because that's when injuries happen. She's not been worked in a while, so she's a little round and roly-poly, and I don't want her to hurt herself. And she's not paying attention. She's not balanced, so sometimes she doesn't know best. She thinks she knows better. There you go. Okay, we got to relax. We got to release there. We got to snort and chew. So she doesn't always know best. She might think she does, but she doesn't. And yeah, I don't want her to hurt herself. So, and we want to be safe. Walk on, mama. Walk on. So she's blatantly not listening at all. Like she's like, well, now she did. She just turned her ear into me. She must have heard me saying something about her. But she's counterbent. She's more concerned about what's on the outside of the circle than she is focused on me. So that kind of goes back to that trust thing I was talking about. She's more paying attention to what's happening around her rather than being kind of in a herd with me, like focused on me. Not lunging with a purpose, then it becomes this chase. It's not lunging, it's a chase. The horse is running away from you. I don't want her to run away from me. Like, that's my partner. I want her to be my teammate. I want her to work with me, not against me. I want her to trust me. Like, that's such a scary concept. When people say, this is kind of a bit of a side rant, but when people say they're breaking a horse, I've always kind of had a bit of an issue with the term breaking. We use it just because it's traditional, but the term comes from breaking a horse's spirit. I don't want to break her spirit. Like I said, she's my partner. Like, she's supposed to be my team. Like, I don't want her broken down and scared of me, because if we get into trouble, I want her to be able to be there to pick me up, to save me. That's better. Good. So we've had quite a few good releases. We've had a shake, we've had some chews, we've had some yawns. Good. She really does not like bugs. There's barely any bugs on her, but she's peeved, and that might be a little tension too. Just her swishing her tail constantly like that. I sometimes will say if they swish their tail, they're saying swear words. Good girl. That's better. So we have rhythm in the walk finally. So that's what I was waiting for. Now, if she kept trying to jog off, eventually I would have said, okay, fine, trot off. And I would have kept her in trot until she started asking to come in. So on Heartland, they show you, I'm sure you've all watched a bit of the TV show Heartland, they make it look as though the join up is such a magical experience. Join ups are very simple. You don't have to have a round pen to do them. You can totally look for all of the signs of connecting with a horse by just doing some basic groundwork. It doesn't even have to be lunging necessarily. So I'm looking for things like her inside ear is pointed on me. She's listening to me. So there, it flicks on and off. She has her head below her withers. So she's relaxed. We talked about that in the barn because they're grazing animals. So if their head is down to the ground, it's showing that they're comfortable in their environment. They're not feeling, though, that they have to. Good girl. There's another sign. They're not feeling as though that they have to be on high alert all the time. Her snorting, it's releasing tension. It's kind of taking a big sigh, relaxing. There. Yes, mama. That's better. We're chewing. We're licking our lips, and it's a nice chew. It's not a grinding on the bit like
someone that's upset and anxious is grinding their teeth. She's actually just doing a nice soft chew, and then she holds her bit confidently. That's a girl. Good girl. Way better. Okay, so we're going to go up to trot and try and achieve the same rhythm. Trot. Trot. Good girl. Nice, mama. Not bad, actually. And so I do like to be on as big of a circle as possible because it puts, especially on a horse that's not fit, puts less strain on their joints. But you can see the bigger the circle I get from her, the more strung out she gets. It's not terrible yet. Because I'm doing little half halts on the line just to easy, mama. Easy, because we are losing our rhythm a little bit. We're getting a bit scrambled. So there. And we're back to not paying attention. So we're kind of on high alert. So it's kind of like if I want to get, I'm waiting for trot, all those nice relaxed signs in the walk. Now I want them in the trot. Easy. Easy. I liked this one saying I saw. There's only room for a couple different sort of emotions when you're working with a horse. You need a good sense of humor and you need patience. That's totally super vital when you're training horses. You need to be able to take a joke. You got to be able to laugh about it and just be like, okay, I'm just going to start tomorrow. And then you need to be patient. So especially with a mare like this, she needs consistency. She needs patience. It might take her a year to be totally relaxed and a reliable trail horse. So that's fine. You just have to deal with that. She's a living, breathing creature. She has emotions. She has feelings, and she's gone through some trauma before she's come to her new owner. So she's got a very good life now. And now comes the education. Now that her physical health is there, we're working on her mental health. That's a good girl. That's a good girl. Hey. So now that she's kind of starting to warm up a bit, I'm just going to start doing, my belly button is on her flank to help drive her forward. If I want her to slow down, my belly button's going to go up to her shoulder. Now remember, who's lunging who? I'm trying not to move. I want her to work around me, not me work around her. So I see so many people that walk when they're lunging, and yes, there's a time and place for it. Like if I want a bigger circle, I'm going to start walking, right? But remember, you're lunging the horse, not yourself. And so it's very important you stay planted. That's better. See how she's slowing down? She started kind of looking at me. So what I'm asking now is just a little more focus from her. So I'm just doing every time this inside front foot hits the ground. Not every single time, I shouldn't say that, but every once in a while when I feel some tension, I'm just going to give her a little half halt. Come. That's a girl. And so I like to do 1 kiss for trot, 2 for canter. Easy, mama. Easy. So we lost our rhythm a little bit there. No big deal. I'm trying not to shut the power down because I find that can frustrate a horse more than just trying to channel the energy. So as long as she's like, if she was trying to gallop and take off on the lunge line, then I would have a small circle and she'd be walking. She'd be doing walk and jog on a controlled circle. But right now, all she's doing is going fast, slow, fast, slow. So instead of shutting the power down, I'm just trying to channel it elsewhere. There. Da, 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 da. Hey. Good. And so what I did there was I give her a rhythm, talk to her a little bit to try and get her focus back. Hey. Trot. Come. Trot. Good. That's it. I need to be the focus. So, think about a horse show. We have so much chaos a lot of the time, or on a trail ride. Like, that's what Lexi's future job is going to be. She's just going to be a nice, quiet horse to go for trail rides and hang out with. And so there's so many things that happen on a trail ride, birds and animals and other horses and everything, right? So it's so important that she keeps focus on you. Good, mama. That's better. Hey. So I want her, if I start losing her attention, especially on a trail ride, I want to be able to get her focus back. There. Good boy. Good girl. Sorry, not boy. Good girl. Good, mama. Good. So now to check those listening ears, we're going to do some transitions. And walk. Walk. Wonderful. Good girl. Good girl. Trot. Wonderful. Excellent. Come on. Come. So right there, she just double checked. She checked in with me there. She's like, are you sure you want me to go forward? So if I have my body language turned, she's going to turn into me. Good girl. Easy. Easy. Come. Good. And walk. 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 Oh. Walk. Walk on. Turret. Turret. Good. Wonderful. Turret, come. Yep, she just checked in again. Because I don't have the whip up because she doesn't need that much tension or that much pressure on her. So if she slows, then I put the pressure back on. But I don't have to keep it on her. Like, she'd be the type of horse I could probably lunge with just my finger. Whips are not supposed to be some scary monster like in the movies. They're supposed to be an extension of your hand. So she should respect my hand just as much as she respects the whip. She shouldn't be scared of it, but she does need to respect it. And so I like to have it just in case, especially even if I have a super well-skilled horse. If they spook and jump towards me, I want that barrier. I want to be able to get them off of me if God forbid I need it, right? So, good, mama. Turret. Look at this. We're getting a much more relaxed trot. Turret. Turret. Good girl. There. I'm liking this trot. We're starting to get a little more supple through the body. So my first rule is rhythm. We have that right now. Suppleness is the second rule. So she's still holding there a little bit of tension in her neck, but we've got the inside ear on me, and the trot is starting to kind of get a little more swingy, not so darting and like choppy and forward. It's starting to get a little more flowy. Easy. I just pushed her a little bit more and she kind of sped up. Good, because there's a very fine line between fast and power. So we want power. We don't want scrambled. Good girl. Turret. Come. Come. And walk. We got more chews. Walk. Walk on. Lovely. Turret. Good. Nope. Come. Good girl. Good. Come. That's a girl. Good girl, Lex. And so I think far too often we're exceptionally good at disciplining for every single bad behavior, but we forget to reward for the really good ones. So I mean, right now, just her simply paying attention to me on the lunge line is something that we probably take for granted. But I mean, if she walks all over top of me, or even if she's pushy just leading her, then we're right on it to discipline for that, right? So we've got to remember to reward for her just having a calm trot right now. Like, that's a huge achievement for her to run, to be this comfortable and not be running away from me. She's actually paying attention to me. Go, mama, turret. Because when we add a rider, like we've had some good riding lessons on her, but as soon as you add weight to her back gets tight, and that trot changes. It's not as swingy as this. Our last lesson before my client got hurt, and again, reminder, how my client got hurt was nothing to do with Lexi. So, but right before she got hurt, we had the most beautiful lesson. We were actually starting to get a calm trot like this. But it's quite amazing the difference. When you add a rider, she instantly starts grinding on the bit again. So she's just associated riding as an uncomfortable activity. Come. And walk. 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 Easy. Good girl. That's a girl. Good. Come. Walk on. Walk on. This is perfect right now. So we have two kids playing in the arena with their toys. So it's a good distraction. Good. And so I asked her to come into me by bowing and inviting her into my space. And she came in and she stopped right in front of me. So stand. So I'm going to put her back because I didn't tell her to move. Good. Excellent. We have a chew. Good girl. So this way you can see that she counterbends this way, but it's not the same type of counterbend. So this direction she counterbends because this is the offside. So she's more naturally prone to bending to the left because we always lead from the left. So right now she doesn't want to bend to the right. Not because she's trying to be defiant, but because physically she's tight. Good. So I'm going to circle a little bit smaller because the trot's not strung out and out of control. And I'm going to, as though my inside leg is on her. There, good girl. Come. She's a pretty smart little thing. For being green, she's pretty smart. Good. So her inside ear hasn't come off of me. And again, most horses would take off if I was putting the whip up there for pressure, but she's actually being lovely. She's kind of snapped right back to where she was. So that's really nice to see. Good. So I'm just using this as though it's like my inside leg, making her wrap around me. Good, mama. Good. And I'm just asking for a little bit of inside bend. I'm not pushing it. Good. 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 Come. 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 And we're tooting. So tooting is another, she's clearly very relaxed. Good girl. Good mama. There. Good. And walk. Walk. Oh. Oh. Walk on. Good girl. Good. Thank you. Lovely. Walk on. Turret. Good. Oh, Sid. Much better. Come. 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 So this is better. So I obviously can't do as big of a circle without her super counterflex. So I'm going to start inching out bit by bit to see if she can support herself and wrap her rib cage around me rather than tip and bend. It's the same thing we want to achieve under saddle. But it starts here. Good. The more muscles I can get fit and supple on the ground, the better it is when you ride. Good girl. Good. And walk. 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 So you notice that she jogs into the transition this way. So now I feel like that's because we are on the offside. And so when you ask for a downward transition or an upward transition, the horse is pressing off, especially in a circle, they're pressing off from the inside hind. And so because she's not as balanced on the right, she doesn't really want to rock back and sit on this right hind. And if you also look at this hind, like it's not kind of it's landing a little bit and twisting. I don't know if you can see that from that camera angle, but I can see her inside hind is kind of coming in and almost crossing, like getting right underneath her. So she's not really comfortable in sitting on it as much as I'd like, and she's not super soft, like the muscles are really strong on this side, so it's harder for her to bend this way. So she doesn't want to rock back and sit on her hock, sit on her hip. So she kind of jogs into the transition to get it. So again, I'm not going to get mad at her for it. Like, what am I going to do? It's just muscle. She's been off for a bit. She's still learning this new riding career, like in a calm, chill manner. And so my expectations are I'm going to be much more lenient with her than I would be with a horse that is fit and going. Good girl. Turret. Good, mama. Good. Easy. Easy. Come, come, come. So we're starting to counterbend again on the bigger circle. So I'm going to bring her in, put some inside leg on her, and get her to wrap around me a bit more. Come, come. Good. I love that I don't have to work on her fear with the whip. Like, she's actually super comfortable with it. Most horses, if I pick this up and put it in their face, they're going to run from it. And so I'm really glad that she's not traumatized by that. Good girl. Good. And walk. 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 So you can see her listening. Walk. She knows what I want. There. Good girl. That was better. Clearly from going her good way, she knows what I want. It's just tough for her to flex and bend this way. What a good girl today. Yes, you were. Walk on, Lex. Good girl. Good. There. Give me a chew. So that's what I'm looking for. Chew before I invite her back in. I know the bugs are bugging you. Come on. So I'll just be quiet here and just wait for her to relax that jaw. Walk on, Mama. Walk on. Yep, walk on. Walk on. Good girl. Okay, we got shit. Oh, there we go. Chew. Bingo. Good girl. Good girl. That's better. And ho. And perfectly square. Well done. Well done. And so I always want to go to the shoulder, because since she holds tension in her jaw, I don't want her to tighten that back up again as soon as I touch it. Perfectly square. So if you were out in a herd relationship with horses and whatnot, they would never turn their butt to the lead horse. And so she would always come in and present herself in front of them. So, I mean, of course, if you watch Heartland, that's one of the things that they expect. So for her to come in and respect me like that is wonderful. Hey? There. And then we can go to our face. Good. So we did this as soon as I met her. Back, back, back. As soon as I halt her, want her backing up. And so the reason I'm doing that is because I want her to pay attention to me, and that's a really simple way of doing it, is keeping her on her toes. Asking her to go forward and then hold. Back, 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 back. Good girl. Okay, so here's the test. This was the end of the ride, or the end of the workout, I should say. So much more relaxed.